Good morning and welcome to the Frontiers of Knowledge segment of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. 2020 has been a year that brought horror to the people, but at the same time, this year was filled with the record breaking scientific discoveries. I won't call them discoveries, but then the old records of birds, animals, human beings, activities, they were broken. Some earned the title of the oldest, including 7 billion year old stardust found on the oldest material on this planet called Earth, and a 31,000-year-old burial that held the remains of the oldest ever found identical twins. Some earned the title of the longest, including a bird that traveled for 11 days. 11 days continuously from Alaska to New Zealand, and a lightning bolt thunder that stretched for 440 miles, that is 700 kilometers. These records that were broken, new records established, have been quite striking in the year of pandemic coronavirus. The most amazing one, which interests me, is the longest bird flight. A loud, long-beaked, rust-colored bird broke the world's record for the longest non-stop flight last fall. On September 16, a male bar-tailed godwit, that's a bird, and scientific name of that bird has been 4BBRW. He started from Alaska, southwest, and 11 days it flew without rest, absolutely flying all the way, and reached New Zealand after 11 days. The total distance traveled was 12,200 kilometers. 12,200. And there were some errors. The bird would go right and left, but the total distance was 12,000. The earlier record was the bird which flew for 9 days, and this flew for 7 days. That bird was a female bar-tailed godwit. She flew for 11,500 kilometers. This one flew for 12,200 kilometers. Now, this bird, bar-tailed godwit, is an impressive flyer. And this journey of 12,200 kilometers was prolonged by the easterly winds. And because of the easterly winds, there were more problems, more hindrances, more impediments. And that's why this is all the more impressive. And then the longest animal ever. Can you believe an animal which is 150 feet long, 45 meters? When the scientists were exploring deep sea canyons of the Australian coast, they discovered a super long creature. And this is the largest animal ever discovered. It's a siphon of more. And actually, this animal is a strange animal. Dozens of small creatures called zooids, they mix with each other. So there are links, and the chain is a total animal. A chain which is length being 150 feet, 45 meters. So each zooid has a life of its own, but as long as it's connected to the chain, the moment it breaks from the chain, it dies. So it's connected to the fellow zooids and performs the function for the entire cyphnophore. It's like the limbs of a body. They are alive as long as they are connected with the body, as long as the nerves are there. But cut them and they are gone. And then a photographer had the longest exposure photo. This image, this photo shows 2,953 arc trails of the sun as it rose and fell. And do you know the photo captures the time period of 8 years and 1 month? It has captured the photo of a sun journey across the sky every day since 2012. And that's why it's the longest exposure photo ever taken. 8 years back, a University of Hartford student created a do-it-yourself camera. It's a do-it-yourself camera, automatic, and he placed it on a telescope at the university's observatory. And he forgot about it. He couldn't believe that he's done it. And now he's a technician at Southgate College, England. And the resulting photo, which he discovered, the student discovered, after all this time, since 2012 to 2021, it shows 2,953 arcs of life. And imagine the camera which he built up, placed it, and has been capturing the sun every day for the last 9 years. And then a turtle, ancient turtle that lived 8 million years ago with a shell that spanned nearly 8 feet in diameter. It's the biggest turtle that ever lived, and that has been discovered. As a matter of fact, that's the biggest turtle animal of that size which ever lived. Imagine the shell having a diameter of 8 feet. This species now extinct. It's not available. And it's in the northern South America. And do you know it lived about 12 million years back? The period was called Miocene epoch. The weight of the turtle was 2,500 pounds, which is 100 times more than the turtles that we get at present. Amazing, aren't you amazed? And then we find remains, the skeletons of a twin, two infants, 31,000-year-old. They were found in Austria, Europe. These, is, these skeletons are the oldest known in the world. The grave was found in 2005. And the researchers had at that time used ancient DNA to confirm that the infants are identical twins and they were likely cousins. But now it has been found that they were not cousins. They were real and they died shortly after the childbirth, one of them. The other died after 50 days and they were buried together. And this is the oldest identical twins ever found. You must be considering that what sort of records are there. But when you find something exotic, when you find something different, you open up to the mysteries of nature. beyond our thought. As Shakespeare said, there are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, that are that are dreamed of in your philosophy. And coming off these old records being broken, there's a country which has been in news, Myanmar. First Rohingyas, then the army coup, and the people being agitated about that. But in the northern Myanmar, the scientists have discovered a disk of amber. And when they opened the disk of amber, they found 39 tiny ostracods. Ostracod is a sort of a minuscule crustacean, and inside one of the females, the researchers discovered four eggs and a spaghetti-like mass that turned out to be a sperm. Now, can you imagine the age of that sperm? Don't be confused. It's just 100 million years. So the oldest sperm, the records have been broken. Prior to this discovery, the oldest sperm was 50 million old and came from a worm cocoon in Antarctica. And this is 100 million old sperm found. But then, do we know? We talk of the materials on the earth. This is building is built 9th century. This was built 12th century before Christ, and so on. But inside the earth, the scientists were discovering, and they found that a massive meteorite had hit the earth half a century back. And then when they went to study inside, NASA went in, they found that although the massive meteorite had hit half a century back, that meteorite was 7 billion years old. The carbon dating was done. And that massive meteorite, the age being 7 billion old, that was found embedded in the crust of the earth. The dust made up of grains was older than the sun, and they were sent out in the universe by the dying stars. This stardust eventually made to our planet by hitching a ride on a meteorite which fell in Australia in 1969. And this is for the first time that the scientists have discovered grains that predate the solar system itself. Their researchers have analyzed grains from the meteorite, grinding up into small bits, adding acid, and when they added acid to dissolve minerals and silicates, they found pre-solar grains. Astonishing. So, saying that this earth is so many years old, but if you find dust which is 7 billion old from the stars which are no longer existing to a planet which was formed much after that, is something really stunning. And then the speed of the sound. They say, how fast can sound travel? That has been a perpetual question. The fastest possible speed in any medium is as a matter of fact, the speed is dependent on the medium itself, let me tell you. But the fastest speed in any medium is 22 miles per second. That is 36 kilometers per second. And as I said, it depends. Speed travels much faster in warmer liquids compared to the colder ones. It travels at a different speed in solids versus liquids versus gases. So to figure out the maximum speed the sound can travel, the researchers calculated the speed of a sound through a solid atom of hydrogen. Now, hydrogen is the lowest mass atom, but it is not solid unless it's under immense pressure. Now, you're thinking what immense pressure should be. This pressure should be million times stronger than the Earth's atmosphere. Only then would hydrogen become solid. So, in that specific condition, they found that the sound can travel close to 79,200 miles per hour. And when I read it in the scientific advance, I was astonished. Can you believe 79,000 miles per hour is the speed of the sound? And they used to say lightning is fast. Is it fast? I don't think so. And talking of the lightning, the oldest light, the longest lightning bolt, the lightning strikes, and in seconds it's over. But in 2018, on the Halloween night, a massive lightning bolt hit Brazil. This mega flash was more than 440 miles long and stretched from Atlantic coast to the edge of Argentina. This is the longest lightning bolt ever recorded. The scientists used new satellite technology to confirm that the lightning bolt was more than twice as long as the previous one. The previous one had hit Oklahoma in 2007. And this analysis shows that the longest duration record of the lightning strike goes, in fact, to northern Argentina, which lasted for 17 seconds on March 21, that's 2019. But it was calculated last year to the new records. And then, the last record broken is that the scientists have found the oldest gut. The gut is where microbes are, where all the bacteria is, and the scientists say that's the most important part of the body. In Nevada, the scientists have found guts which are fossilized. They are 550 million years old. So they're the oldest remnants of digestive tracts ever found. So when we hear a 500 million old, billion year old, this imagination staggers. The previous record was, can you believe, they say 500 million and now it's 550 million. And they belong to two black creatures, not to the human beings because there were no human beings at that time. So these were two black creatures, they called them clodomorphon. And these guts help scientists understand what sort of creatures they were. Analysis have revealed that the soft tissue looks like a tube, and that agrees with the worm hypothesis that they were possibly worms. Maybe the earliest form, much before amebia was even there. These animals, these worms were there because the evolution didn't start at that time, at least the recorded one. So these 10 records, astonishing, enchanting, intriguing, these were known in 2020. So the horror of pandemic was offset by this surprise of life. All the tragedy, all the pain is simply nowhere as compared to the charm, beauty, and the mystery of the universe as revealed by these shattering, thought shattering news and the new records of the natures of the man and the animal world. Think about it. Thank you.